We are now fully reunified People's Republic of China, pretty much as it looks today, honestly. What a great airborne operation. I've genuinely never had more fun playing using paratroopers than I have in this game. G'day everyone, today I'm showing you how to create a communist China even Mao Zedong himself would be proud of. Listen closely and you'll see your social credit rising faster than our sea levels. That's very sad that I can make a joke about that. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going down the left-hand side of the tree first, down this central path of agrarian socialism. We're going to come down to complete the Maoism focus, and then we're going to hop over to land redistribution, and then we are going to permit the opium trade because we want to get rid of those consumer factories as soon as we can. And then we're also going to abolish the land rent. That stability and war support hit is going to make you suffer. For our researchers, we are going to go sort of the opposite way of what we would usually do, and we are going to research the upgraded infantry equipment. The other tech that you're going to go for is your basic machine tools. Our industry is, well, we only have the one state, so we're just going to put max infrastructure in that for now. And with your military factories, guns. We are only producing guns for now. Get your army, pop it on the front line. Now, looking at these two infantry templates as well, one of them is slightly better than the other. We don't have any planes, we don't have any navy, obviously, and we have this small limited army. So pop them on the border we have with Shanxi. And what we're going to do is as soon as we have 50 political power, we are going to be justifying on Shanxi to conquer them. Our overall strategy here is we're going to take out the northern part of China. That's Shanxi, Xibei Xan Ma, and Sinkiang. Also, I'm so sorry for my pronunciation of this video. I don't know how to pronounce any of these countries properly, or any of these states properly. I'm really sorry. But we're going to take out all three of these nations just by justifying and declaring on them as soon as we can. And that's going to give us, well, not necessarily a lot of industry, but it's going to give us more industry than we currently have, as well as making our job a bit easier once we do end up stabbing China in the back. Japan is still going to end up declaring war on us, and we are going to have to fight the Japanese and push them off the mainland, so we will have to be a bit buddy-buddy with China to begin with. But before very long, they'll feel the red flow sweeping over them. Let's pretend I never said that. After the Central Secretariat, go for your agrarian socialism. This replaces Aftermath of the Long March, which, if you have a look at the national spirit, minus 50% construction speed and minus 15% output. Yuck. All of these are really bad and we need to try and get rid of them. Actually, the rectification campaign, which is the next focus we'll go for, will get rid of the power struggles, which is going to make things a lot easier for us. We do have the option to either go to war economy or to buy an advisor. War economy is super tempting. However, the reduction in consumer goods and the construction speed is kind of wasted right now, considering we have a grand total of 2 factories. So go for the silent workhorse. Once we get rid of power struggles, then it's going to be more cost effective to go for war economy, free trade, and everything like that. Also, I know I said before that we would justify at 50 political power, but you actually only need 25 because all of these other territories here are core states of Communist China. So we can go ahead and justify on them. What you're also going to want to do, out of these 2 templates, you want to go ahead and add a couple of divisions training of the smaller sized one and set the priority to high. And that's going to basically allow you to pump out a few extra divisions. As soon as those troops are over the threshold of being deployed, pop them down. To that end as well, also take these larger divisions and convert them to the smaller one. We are going to get back manpower, but it's going to reduce the amount needed to like fully resupply them, which means that you can then create more divisions overall. About 16 divisions is all you really need to have. And as the agrarian socialism is done, go into the rectification campaign. If you want to really take advantage of time, keep an eye on like the date when your justification is going to be done, and maybe like a week before that, take your troops off training or exercising. That's going to basically allow them to get their org up, so as soon as you have that justification, you can declare immediately. But it's not the end of the world. Now that our war goal is done on Shanxi, we'll go ahead and declare, and then immediately as well, we're going to go ahead and justify on the next nation. Now we've completed the next level of infantry equipment, so we will upgrade that production. And then with your research as well, you want to go ahead and go for the dispersed industry and improved machine tools. For your research from here, this is actually one of the few times that I would recommend going for concentrated industry over dispersed. The reason for that is it gives you an extra 5% factory output, which, considering that China's main strength is having a lot of manpower, the more equipment you can pump out, the better. Chuck it onto concentrated, and then after that, you're going to go for the improved machine tools. With this tech here, we're going to go for the first level of artillery. Now, with the war, most of your units are not going to have the manpower to actually advance, so just get them to force advance here, or like just micro them through the front lines. You want to be encircling any enemy divisions that there are, and you just want to be taking as much territory as fast as possible. And there we go, nice and easy. And just like that, we've more than doubled in size. Now, immediately move your troops over to the other border. Now, the rectification campaign is done. Retrofaction campaign, whatever, Trevor. We are now going to go for the Maoism focus, which is going to give us a bit of extra stability and reduce the production cost of our infantry equipment. Guns and stability, that is the name of the game. We are going to just pump out some more divisions as well. Try to get this up to a 24 stack if you can. Also, we have the command power to recruit some officers, and we're going to need heaps of them. So it's well worth going ahead and just promoting a bunch of these junior officers early. For that reason too, Academy Scholarships is a really good Spirit of the Army to go for first, just to allow you to promote some more of these officers and just increase their level early on. Our focus is done. Immediately go ahead and justify on Sinkiang. We're actually going to give it a minute for our org to catch back up, and now we can go ahead and declare. Now, this little section up in the north is where you're going to get any of your breakthroughs to happen. Be sure to send some divisions up here, and also pin the divisions on your front line if you can. Now we've completed Maoism, it's on to land redistribution. Especially when you're declaring these wars, you can get strikes or desertion at any point, and you really want to avoid that if you can. Every time your troops move up to the front here, you just want to have them taking either a victory point or just territory in general, because a lot of these nations, they don't have a lot of victory points, so you'll end up having to capitulate them by taking out a lot of their provinces. Now, we've completed Artillery 1. We are eventually going to keep going down and getting better artillery techs, but what you're going to need to do first is go into your support tab and get civilian trains. We're also going to add just 3 factories on to the towed artillery. And if we're going to trade resources, we're going to do it from our friends, the Soviets, that we've definitely never had any problems with. Isn't that right, Comrade Stalin? So we have our next 150 political power. We could wait for this war to be over to jump onto war economy real quick. However, if you jump onto free trade, we are getting a 15% construction boost, plus a research boost, plus factory output and dockyard output. We have no resources to speak of, so it's not really affecting us. So I would by far recommend that. And there goes the next domino. And line up on Sinkiang. Land redistribution is done. We are going to, just to get our stability and war support problem fixed, we are going to go down here to abolish the land rent. Also, don't forget, once you have taken over these other territories, don't forget like I have, you can actually start building civs. Don't be tempted to start building mills straight away, like we are going to need some civilian factories. Otherwise, once you start getting the mills, you have nothing to go to consumer goods, and our economy will fall on its ass. There we go. Our justification is finished for Sinkiang. We are going to declare immediately and attack. All right, we have researched civilian train, and now we want to go for trucks. This is also like incredibly important. We need to have our motorization up, because if we're trying to hold back Japan on this front line and we have no supply, things are just going to fall apart real quick. To that end as well, what you're going to do is on exactly this province here, you're going to add 1 production of a supply hub and drag it to the top of your production queue. Then what you're going to do is come back in and reorganize the railway system. So now that supply hub, well, I should have checked before, but now it's only going to take 3 months to complete. We are also going to need to connect that with some railways. Put that production below the supply hub though. And then after that railway is done as well, we are going to add a production, or we're going to add a railway line rather, to connect our supply with the rest of the Chinese continent, the Chinese country, because when our troops are sort of fighting around here, not that there will be much, but when our troops are fighting in China, we're going to need supply from our capital too. You might notice as well that I'm just sitting on my political power for a little bit. I'm waiting for this war to be over so I can jump us up to war economy. What we are going to do here is ally with him against the Japanese, which is then going to create the Chinese United Front, which we're going to be a part of, and that's going to allow us to fight with China united against Japan. Also, we can finally abolish land rent, which is going to give us more stability and war support. And here we are, and Sinkiang is ours. As soon as Sinkiang falls, just bring your whole army over and put them on the Manchukuo border. One thing worth mentioning too, for our doctrines, we're going to be going for Grand Battle Plan. The defense is really needed against the Japanese. We can actually also go to war economy now. And the next thing I'm going to go after this is I'm actually going to take a step down to extensive conscription. Having that construction speed, factory output back, that's going to be incredibly important. One thing we're also going to do as well, once we recruit a few more of our generals, we're going to jump over to theater training. We can get some adaptable generals. That is going to make our life very, very easy. And here we have it, the end of June 37, and we've got ourselves a supply hub right here on the front. That's going to give us full supply. It's worth mentioning you probably want to take this supply line to level 3. Also, once they do declare war, stop your troops exercising. Most of them are dug in, but you know, the more the better. Now, what we're going to do is go for our literacy programs. We need our research slots to come back up now. And then after that, we are going to go for the investor paths. This is also important. You don't want to be called to arms like immediately. You don't want to join the war until all of your supply hubs and your railways and everything are done. The other thing, we need truck production. So once we have those trucks researched, we're going to take one of these factories off our towed artillery and pop it on trucks just to start getting that trickle in so we can motorize our supply lines. All right, trucks are done. And from this point, we're going to be focusing, especially the top row of weapons and equipment. That's going to boost your infantry defense, which is the most important stat for probably the next 4 years in game. So we're going to have 1 factory on trains, going to end up with 2 on trucks, and then yeah, we'll basically go from there. So from here, we are going to go for invite foreign investors. We are going to have to increase our relations potentially with the Soviet Union to be able to get down into these focuses here. You probably won't have enough time to do anything else in here apart from like the Soviets and then either the US or the British. Finally, you need to come down this tree here and you need to go for the People's Liberation Army. The army augury gain minus 10%, training time increased. We need to get rid of that. Also, by coming down into this tree, it's going to give us access to the 100 Regiments campaign, which is something that we're going to use later on to push Japan off the mainland. Also, we are going to increase the width of our infantry division a tiny bit, and we're also going to add support artillery on. I generally wait for Beijing to fall and wait for the Nationalists to get pushed back across this river before I join them in the war. Alright, you can also see now our supply hub has finally been linked up to our capital. We've got level 3 railroads running to it, and our troops have full supply, which means that we can actually join the war now. Now, do not attack. Like, listen, I need you to listen to me right now. Don't attack. That's the last thing you want to be doing. We need to be inflicting at least 1 million casualties or more on Japan and its puppets, at least, before we even consider attacking. So just let your troops sit here and get attacked. Like, the Nationalists will try to grind against the front. Nothing's going to happen. Let them do it. It's literally a them problem. We're going to take all of these Lend leases from the puppets. I've widened the primary template a little bit. I've added some support artillery to it. And then the reserve division, I've just made them 10 width, and that's sort of what the bulk of our army is right now. As we get more divisions, they're going to be these more upgraded ones. Another thing that you can do as well at this point is you can go for total mobilization. Make sure you've got 250 political power to go for women in the workforce at the same time. We've got, well, almost 15 civilian factories working away. We're going to finish off those 2 to get us to that 15 stack, and then we are going to jump over to purely military factory production. Oh, and it's begun. They're attacking our lines. Another tip, always keep about half a dozen to a dozen divisions in training. That's going to prompt, I guess, sympathetic nations to send us Lend leases over time. We are going to have to be aware of the Japanese naval invading us, or rather naval invading the Nationalists. So eventually what you're going to want to have is 2 24 stacks and then another stack of 24 to counter those naval invasions. You know what? Even if the Soviets aren't voluntarily giving you guns, you can always go around and request a Lend lease of equipment. Some nations are just going to absolutely not be interested. You can also see here that the Nationalists line is falling while ours is standing strong. Keep an eye on your front line too. These 2 tiles here specifically are copping an absolute beating. So these stronger divisions, I'm just going to assign them to this part of the front to try and strengthen that up a little bit. Sometimes it's inevitable that you're going to lose an area though. So just go ahead, any divisions that are trying to move into those provinces, just select your army and press H. That'll stop them from coming in and attacking, because again, you don't want to be wasting your manpower and equipment by attacking the enemy. So we boosted relations with Paraguay before. Hey, let's go. 108 infantry equipment. We'll take it. We'll take 108 infantry equipment from Paraguay. We lost our supply hub, which is a bit of a bummer, but you know what? That happens. We've fallen back almost sort of to like our core area. So what I've done is built some level 3 forts just along the border here. Building them particularly behind this river is just going to give us like that extra bonus to our defense. Particular provinces in trouble, just take like a couple of units from one side and move them in to sort of reinforce it. Alrighty, so now we've done our focuses through to this section. You'll automatically bypass renegotiate the unequal treaties. We aren't going to go any more into this tree yet. What we need to do is come over and boost our relations with the US to start going down here and coming down the Yunnan base area. So we'll start with that. If we just take a quick look at the casualty numbers as well, about 125,000 men gone versus almost 500,000 or a bit over 500,000 for Japan and its allies. So at the moment we have lost a bit of ground, but we are trading pretty favorably. So, you know, you can be happy with that. Japan is naval invading the Nationalists now. So take this 12 stack that we have here. We are going to railroad them down here to try and support and push them out, or at least contain them if we can. It might sound a little bit crazy as well, but the more naval invasions the Nationalists get up here, it actually helps us out a lot more because the Japanese will pull troops away from their front up here. All right, they've landed a new naval invasion. We're not really able to do anything up here, so we're going to move the 12 divisions we have to try and limit their impact down south, which, Jesus, it's not really helping. The thing is, you don't want the Nationalists to capitulate immediately. Like, you want them to last. We want to inflict as many casualties on the Japanese as possible. What we're going to do as well is we're just going to start around this point, 39. We're going to start one research slot on getting some of our aircraft techs. PLA army done. Now, what we're going to do here as well is go for mobile warfare and the 100 regiments, and also create yourself an intelligence agency. I should have done this way earlier, but I just have been preoccupied. Another 3 divisions down south. Let's go. They've only got like 1 or 2 divisions along pretty much the whole way. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to bring the army that we had in the south, have them just on this small part with an offensive plan so they can get their planning bonus, because these troops sitting here are already entrenched. But to also assist with that, we are just going to put 1 spy in Beijing. They've moved some more troops here, but we'll just attack with both of our armies. The goal here being to sort of cut off these Japanese troops in that sort of fashion. So any particular areas that you start getting a breakthrough in, just focus on that area. At this point as well, we're going for the fighter bonus. So we want to be going for all systems go on the fighter techs. Hey, encirclement, let's get them. One other tech that you're also going to want to get is paratroopers. We're never going to get naval supremacy over the Japanese, especially after the rework. But we can get air supremacy and paradrop onto around Hiroshima potentially and secure that port. Mission successful. The other thing that you want to be, I guess, careful of is as you are taking over this territory, you want to make sure you're pushing from your own territory rather than pushing from the Nationalists. So we're actually just going to come back over, put our army on our front, and then set up and get ready to roll from there. So again, having a look at the casualties at this point, well over 1 million casualties for the Japanese. I mean, the Nationalists have lost a lot too, but ours are quite low. So at this point, you can start attacking. We've gotten rid of most of our negative modifiers as well. Oh, yes. Love it. Another nice encirclement up here. I just wanted to take a moment to show you as well, our spy here in Beijing with 100% strength. Effects for Japan, max planning factor, minus 100%, max entrenchment, minus 5. Like, don't sleep on your spies, man. Particularly any areas which are going to give us like a supply hub or something, we want to try and push through and take that. Look at this, look how good this is. A 2-year ahead of time penalty reduction for the advanced small airframe. Also, another thing, just keep adding, like once you got your production sort of something like this, just keep adding all of your guns and infantry equipment. Once we get the advanced small fighter, that's when we're going to put it, like switch over a bunch of those factories onto our aircraft production. We're going to make a design for the improved small airframe and start making like a few of those, which is going to look something like this. However, the majority of our production is going to go into the advanced small airframe. Oh, look at this. It's only going to take 300 days down from around 800 to research that. Oh man, this really is like just a battle of supply hubs. We've finally captured one up here so we can connect that up with everything else. Oh, yes, Lee Sun, adaptable. Once again, just extorting the Soviets and Mongolians for all of their guns. Once we push Japan off the mainland, well, I mean, we're going to have to come down and help the Nationalists with that as well, but our production of aircraft should really be enough to get us to paradrop into sort of these South Islands here. Now, I was very behind in doing it as well, but the 100 Regiments Offensive, that's something I would normally get to use back down at this point in time. Given that we're sort of almost at the end of this, I'm going to trigger that. I just requested a Lend-Lease, and the Soviets are giving me 20,000 guns, which is the answer to all my prayers. I'm so happy right now. I know this isn't ideal to do with concentrated industry, but we're going to swap a bunch of our production over to our fighters. Of course, don't forget to have some transport planes producing those, because we are going to need them to carry our paratroopers across. The People's Republic of China. Let's go. And now we can finally get rid of recovery from the Long March. Glorious. Social credit increased. Oh my lord. September 1941, and we have the advanced small airframe. For our next design, we'll go for pretty much the same thing. All right, this is what our paradrop order looks like. We're landing on all the provinces around Hiroshima. The trick is to actually launch that before Japan even gets pushed off the mainland here. Because if they do get pushed off the mainland, you'll then be at peace, and then you'll have to wait for the cooldown before you can actually declare war on them again. This way, you can actually just capitulate them, take some of their territory, and then go to war with the Nationalists. So that's going to be your best bet. One thing we will take advantage of is the combat that's happening here to put out more advanced fighters. And then if we just have a quick look at the air results, we've lost 3 fighters in the last month to their 18. So that's going to be another way that we can whittle down their air force and get the supremacy to pull off this paradrop. We're not helping the Nationalists though, not any more than we have to. We're actually going to go for the One China policy, which is going to give us war goals against all of these other Chinas. So that way we can pretty much immediately flick over and stab them in the back once we have capitulated the Japanese. Now, if you're not familiar with how paradrops work, you need air supremacy in every air region that your troops are going to pass through. So in this case, it's going to be Korea, Sea of Japan, and the home islands. Let's activate our order and see how this goes. All right, cool. All of our paratroopers have landed. Let's move into Hiroshima real quick. Hey, let's go. All right, now what we're going to do is just literally go on a field marshal order with all of our troops north of Japan. Or we are going to get all of our convoys sunk. I can just see it now. There we have it. Japan has fallen. What we can do now is come back and put our troops on the border. We're going to leave the Chinese United Front. And the beauty of this is they're still in the Chinese United Front because we haven't taken over membership, or we haven't taken over leadership. If we did that and disbanded, then we would be left with the situation where they could join the Allies. However, in this case, we have a war goal. They are not guaranteed by anyone, and we can just go ahead and declare on them as soon as our troops are in position. We're just going to set up a little paradrop for ourselves using the famous communist China paratroopers that definitely existed in real life, apparently. I think we're as ready as we're going to get. No time like the present. Here our paratroopers have landed. Let's set them on a little attack order. Any troops that we can encircle is going to be... perfect. We've linked our men up, so we're at least not cut off fully. Come on, if we can capture any of these men, if we can take any of them, this will be great. Oh, come on. Yes, we got them. We got them, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, look how many troops are in here. Let's try something a little bit ambitious. Let's paradrop in and take the capital, huh? Let's send it. Perfect. What a great airborne operation. Man, these communist Chinese paratroopers really are the best of the best. Oh man. I've genuinely never had more fun playing using paratroopers than I have in this game. Alright, I think it's time to pull off another heroic paradrop. And oh my goodness, a lot of these are not landing. Oh no, there we go. Okay, these ones definitely met a lot more resistance than our previous ones have. Come on, please land, please land. Yes, we've done it. They all survived again. Oh man, I'm getting really attached to these paratroopers. I've been recently watching Band of Brothers, so I guess this is like the communist Chinese knockoff version. And we got a few encirclements here as well, which is always, well, I mean, that's the goal. I am absolutely not falling into the same trap and making the same mistakes that the ye olde Communist Chinese Party did. Oh, that almost did it too. Well, in any case, Taiwan is ours. Ah, fantastic. Well, let's take all of China, all of Tibet, all of Yunnan, all of there. Done. And look at us go. We are now fully reunified People's Republic of China, pretty much as it looks today, honestly. Also, with the focus that we're doing now, we are going to get a war goal on Japan too. Going to take out Southeast Asia, we'll take out mainland Japan, and we've been invited to the Soviets faction and the British faction. My, we're popular today. Not like the Japanese really have any divisions here that we can cut off and encircle, but, you know, we're still going to do our little para drop anyway. Wow, 93 divisions. We might be overdoing it a little bit, maybe just a little bit. Isn't that what Communist China is known for? Just overdoing it a little bit. And that's the end of Japan. So look at us go. We've got all of Southeast Asia, we've got Japan and all its little territories. And to top it all off, we've even secured ourselves a bit of a cheeky navy. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this one. That's pretty much going to work for you in terms of forming Communist China almost every time. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments if you've done this sort of Communist China playthrough and if you've enjoyed it, if you've struggled. Let me know if there's any other playthroughs that you guys want me to see, and I will see you guys in the next one.